This one is for Al. Single point question. The subject of putting the inmates at the county jail to work on projects like roadside garbage pickup and snow removal and other duties that the county may have limited funds to accomplish has been around for a while. Would such an endeavor be something you would be willing to make happen?
Actually, I think it's a great idea. It's a good question. There's two things you can gain by that. We can help clean up our streets, our along the roadways, or whatever the task that they've been assigned to do. It would be a good thing for our community about beautifully making it more pretty or beautiful, whatever you want to, your verbiage you want to use. Secondly, incarceration does not teach anybody to stop the action that put them in there in the first place. So, if we can teach these male inmates to, I'm assuming only because of resources, male inmates, to get up every day, they have to eat their meal. Then they are ready to go each day to go out and do their service, whatever they're going to do that day. It teaches them responsibility. They may not have had that in their life as growing up, and that's not their fault. We can do that. That's a service we can provide to them. Again, the whole idea about the whole reason we exist, we have laws, why I put people in jail, for lack of terms, isn't so much that we want to put people in jail. It's about we want to make people need to be accountable to their actions and obey the laws of the land. And the whole plan is that we want them to be productive people in our communities. So we can have, it would be a two-edged sword, or however you want to word it, so it could work out good for everybody. So.
Sure. The subject of putting the inmates at the county jail to work on projects like roadside garbage pickup and snow removal and other duties that the county may have limited funds to accomplish has been around for a while. Would such an endeavor be something you would be willing to make happen?
Yes, absolutely I would. I think it's a great program. It is somewhat manpower intensive though, because you can't send the offenders, and of course they would be nonviolent offenders that aren't a risk to reoffending society when they're out on this work-release crew, but you have to send supervision out with them. I think it's an excellent idea, and I think we can expand upon it. However, you can't expand upon it too much because it is so manpower intensive. They have to have supervision. But what I would propose is working with our prosecutor, working with our judges as an alternative to incarceration. Because all too often, like you, I read the newspaper, I take personal interest in the cases that I've had over the years, and I see that somebody that's been convicted of an offense, say, that is rather high profile, or maybe it's an offense in which I was the arresting officer, investigating officer, and I see that the judge finds them guilty and fines them $1 plus $73 court cost. I think we need to put them to work. We need to get more than $1 out of them. I think we need to send them out to our beaches and clean them up. I think we need to send them to our playgrounds and clean our playgrounds up, and our streets, and remove graffiti. You get caught spray painting graffiti, your sentence ought to be removing the graffiti that not only you put on the schools, in the buildings, in the playgrounds, but the graffiti that everybody else that didn't get caught put on those viaducts and schools and playgrounds as well. So I'm all in favor of alternatives to incarceration. I think what we ought to have in our jails are our violent offenders, those that are a risk to society. And if we have the violent offenders in our jail, I think it would be too much of a liability to bring them back out into your neighborhoods and your communities.
Steve, would you like to repeat the question?
Sure, go ahead.
The subject of putting the inmates at the county jail to work on projects like roadside garbage pickup and snow removal and other duties that the county may have limited funds to accomplish has been around for a while. Would such an endeavor be something you would be willing to make happen?
I would. I like the idea of that. Always have. However, I think it was Al that mentioned that can also be a double-edged sword, or maybe it was John. You have to be very careful. These guys have nothing to do all day right now except figure out how to get out. So you want to be sure that you're not helping in any way the plan there. But yes, we need these people to get out once in a while and do some of these community service projects so that they can become a working member of society. The chances of rehabilitation hopefully are good, and these are things that can help because we need to make good citizens. There's also technology that can be used, maybe in conjunction with the courts, to get some of these nonviolent offenders out of the jail so that we're not spending your tax dollars on trying to keep them there when there's other less expensive technologies that can be used to keep track of them. On the other hand, we also need to be careful that we're not putting them into situations that is going to cause more problems because of another offense or something. So yes, I would support things of that nature in conjunction with those who know the prisoners the best as to which ones to choose, because the sheriff isn't always going to know that. He's going to have to depend on the jailers and the jail supervisors to find those candidates who are most likely to behave themselves, to benefit from it, and to work hard.
How would you like an additional 60 seconds? Sure.
Just real quick, when I worked back in the jail, there were inmates that had more seniority than I did. It kind of sounds funny, but it's true. What's the problem with that? They're repeat customers. So again, we got to look at these different, I don't want to call them programs that we could use, and this leads me to our drug treatment courts and our veterans court. These are good alternatives to incarceration. These are people obviously that wouldn't be in this program because they're going to be doing their drug courts and their veterans court. I support those programs very, very much. And if you've ever listened to the veterans talk about it, I've recently attended a program where a veteran was he was the actual graduate, and it'll make you think. They provided the service for us to be here tonight, and for us to give that back to them so they can be a functional person in society. It's a worthwhile endeavor. So the whole idea of incarceration, just locking people up, is not going to be the answer entirely.
Sean, would you like another 60 seconds? No, thank you. Okay, Steve?
I would just like to...
Your mic's not on.
Yeah, I see that. Thank you. I would just like to mention the justice assistance grants. I'm not sure if the county, unfortunately, is taking advantage of those or not, but Al mentioned the various courts and things. This is a program that can be used for law enforcement, for drug purposes, or it can be used for treatment. And these treatment uses are very, very low. It's also contained in this ACLU report. The counties and the jurisdictions are not taking advantage of that part of the grants. They're putting it towards equipment and things like that, and other law enforcement and training, which is fine, but there isn't very much at all going to treatments. So we're going to get those repeat offenders. We're going to get them with more seniority than some of the jailers. So we need to be sure that we're utilizing the assistance programs that are out there and available.